Welcome! My name is Kelly.
And I'm Nathan.
And this is Fanimated, an animation fan podcast where we get a chance to geek out about our favorite animated media. And this is Whatcha Watching episode where we're going to just talk about all the stuff we've been watching recently. So Nathan, how you doing?
Doing all right. Hanging in there. Making it through each week. You know how it is.
Yep. We're, nearing the year in quarantine mark. It's ever closer.
Yeah.
So, surviving that, and there will be a light at the end of the tunnel, and it'll be great.
Double
I
thumbs
say
up.
with, I need
with
some
heavy sighs.
Yes, heavy sighs. So, to distract yourself from empty nothingness, what have you been watching recently?
Way to phrase that. Well, I'm sorry to report, Kelly, but I've been watching actually very little. I don't have a lot. I've been watching Jujutsu Kaisen as it comes out weekly, but it kind of took a break around December. It's coming back soon. It's gone off the rails, to put it lightly. But it's still pretty much amazing. So we're going to keep going with that one.
For sure.
But instead of all of the shows that I would typically be watching, I've been playing a lot of video games. So if we can change this what you watching to kind of a what you playing.
Great. Awesome. It is now a What You Playin' podcast. And just tell us about Cyberpunk.
You knew it was coming. Everyone knows it's coming. Cyberpunk 2077. Just a big heavy sigh. Just really sums it up. Cyberpunk was one of the most anticipated games of the year. It's probably one of the most anticipated games that I've ever followed along. It was going to be one of the most advanced graphic video games to ever exist. It probably is. It just doesn't work right all the time. The bugs are real. I ran into quite a few of them. It really disrupts the game aspect of it. I think I've articulated this before. Of Cyberpunk is a role-playing game, and it does an amazing job of an immersive environment and of role-playing, but the game aspect of it is rather lacking. It's sort of a project where it seems like a lot of people had a lot of really cool ideas, and they all tried to implement them at once, and then at some point someone said, all right, it's all gotta go, and then they shipped it off, and everything is a little half done in the game department of it. But you gotta I was thinking of what I could say about this game and where I can find really good things to say about it, and it's you have to applaud them for the amazing graphics that they did and the amazing role playing and the immersiveness of it, but we should not reward them for their failures. I hope this it was such a highly anticipated game that if it didn't go perfectly, someone was gonna rip it apart. And the fact that it didn't go perfectly, it even probably went very poorly, is so extra detrimental to them, I believe.
Yeah.
These are the same people that did the whole Witcher trilogy, and that's having a huge revival, and The Witcher 3 is crowned as one of the best role-playing games to ever exist, and this could have been the start of another Witcher style series for them. And it's not looking good. It's not looking good for them. All of this being said, I still played it for 70 hours.
I was gonna say, how much time have you clocked in on that one?
I'm almost pushing 80 hours on it. The full to the end game is probably more around 45, 50. And I took my time with it a little bit as well, because it's just got an endless amount of side missions, which you would love that sort of like would develop your characters, but they all sort of became redundant at a point. And I essentially like completioned it and tried to do just I think I did every single side mission in the game, and they just start getting. I don't really care about who's talking and what we're doing. It's more of just a hey, look, my fists will light people on fire, sort of like let's pretend I'm Bakugo and run around. Like it's like role playing at that point of just like you're kind of doing whatever you want in this amazing cyber future world. But what they let out and what they released is, I don't know, seriously lacking. And if they come out with another game and they're like, hey, we fixed everything and it's amazing and it starts getting new reviews, sure, I'll play this Cyberpunk 2, but I don't know. It's rough and it's sad to see, and I'm disappointed both in the game and disappointed in that it didn't live up to all of the hype. But how could it? So could you really blame them? I don't know. You can't tell. I have very mixed feelings.
I can't. Oh, yeah, like something that's so highly anticipated and then also bombs so poorly, but also you still played it through.
Yeah, but it's like, what else was I gonna do? I took 2 weeks off of work and I can't go anywhere, and it's cold here, and you're not gonna go outside, and you can't go visit people, and so hey, throw 70 hours onto a video game.
Absolutely. Do you think, like, does this game in particular, I mean, do you think, like, does it do anything to help, like, the video game technology, or is it just not a stepping stone at all?
Well, there's where I think it had great opportunity, and that's a great thing to bring up. So thank you for bringing that up, Kelly. Is that it is still one of like the most graphically advanced video games to exist.
Okay.
Probably not like Crysis 3 on Max. Like everyone kind of jokes about that. But it's like they put so much detail into absolutely everything that at some point I was just like, why guys? Like I'm wandering around like an apartment building, and there's just like unique pieces of furniture and like trash in a corner, and everything is like amazingly 3D modeled and like has like some physics on some of this stuff, and like I'm just sitting there, I'm just like, no wonder the game doesn't run. Like you have more polygons in this random nonsense apartment building than most games out by AAA developers. And like literally they had to wait for new consoles to come out just so that they could run the game. Like the game doesn't even run on like the old generation consoles, and it was a huge issue and a huge like failure. Luckily I'm a PC gamer, so it's like it's running okay on my PC just fine, but you still just have glitches and you still have bugs, and like the whole floor disappeared for one save point, and I'm just like, well, it's still got collision, but I can see into the abyss. Like, and so it's just weird stuff like that. But like you go and you like jump in a car, and it's like an auto-scrolling like cutscene of you just like talking to another person in a car, and it's incredibly immersive, and everything is super detailed and textured, and you're just like, wow, this is absolutely amazing. And then you get out of the car, and like, the car that you were just riding and blows up. Like it's just a mess.
Oh man. Well, it definitely, like, I don't even play that many video games, but I'm interested in how this, even if it's a little bit of a flop, could be, a window at least into the future of what we might be able to expect. It sounds like they may have bit off more than they could chew.
Yeah.
And I like to say this about like movies and other media. Video games I know is different, especially such an open world one, but I really enjoy it when studios can narrow their focus and cut things and edit things obviously this is like a great big world, but maybe they spent a little too much time with the random apartment buildings and not enough time focusing on the important parts. So I don't know. I don't know as much about the video game industry and their process, but yeah, hopefully someday we can get, you know, a great open world game like Cyberpunk, but one that works better.
A game that looks and plays like the one that they promised it would be.
Yes.
Not the one that got shipped. But yeah. But hey, this is Fanimated, and we should talk about things that we like. So Kelly, what have you been watching or playing that you like?
All right, since this is what you're playing now, I'm going to talk about Age of Calamity.
Oh, of course.
That's my current video game obsession. And I don't know if you guys know, but I'm a huge Zelda fan.
Oh, who would have ever guessed?
What? Yeah, I love Breath of the Wild so much. And even though I love the gameplay style of Breath of the Wild of like everyone has their own story and experience with it, and that's what makes it so amazing. Nathan's laughing because his experience was different. Yeah. Want to give us a synopsis of that?
Not really. It's pretty embarrassing. I'd never played a Zelda game before, and let's just say I didn't play it right. And you would say, there's no right way to play Zelda. And I would go, well, mine definitely wasn't right.
Well, if you're not enjoying yourself, I suppose that means it didn't do its job. Yes. But we'll leave the rest of that story up to your guys' imagination. But I do kind of miss the classic Zelda storyline that are in the, you know, more linear games. And Age of Calamity is that storyline that I was really missing out on with Breath of the Wild. And just in the first, like, chapter, like, the first battle, like, there's more cutscenes than you get in the entirety of Breath of the Wild. And so it's like you get this super long, like, if you put them all together, I don't even know, like, you're like a whole movie worth of cutscenes. And like in Breath of the Wild, you like get to a memory and you're like, oh my gosh, and you just settle in and then it's over. And in Age of Calamity, it's like, oh my gosh, there's still the cutscene is still going. This is so good. It's like movie level quality. There's some really cinematic moments where I'm just like, what? So obviously I'm loving that. I love all the characters. I mean, you get to play as all the champions and lots of other characters that I can't mention because spoilers, but I love these characters so much. The other big thing, and I don't think this is a spoiler because every single Zelda game, there's a moment where you get the Master Sword. Mm-hmm. That's not a surprise. Everyone knows that. In Breath of the Wild, it's kind of like, woo, another weapon.
This one doesn't break. Like,
yeah, it doesn't feel very exciting, really, in my opinion. Age of Calamity, you get the Master Sword and you feel like a god.
That's great.
And you just like, oh man, it is the best fight. Like, one of the best. I mean, there are obviously a bajillion in this game, but it just feels so satisfying, and you get all these, like, there's the whole journey and story around it, and it's just like, it's just, you get it, and then it's just like, boom, and you're just slicing and dicing. It's so good. Anyway, so I have not quite finished playing the game. I think I'm at near the end of it. I try to avoid looking up how long it actually is or how many chapters there actually are because I don't want to see any spoilers accidentally, but it feels like I'm getting to the end. And I'm interested to see how they're going to wrap it all up. And also because I'm interested to see how this is going to affect like Breath of the Wild 2. If it does at all. I don't know at this point. If anything, it's just one of those like the people at Zelda can't stop putting time travel in the midst of these games.
Oh no. Oh no. I thought the timeline was fixed. It's ruined again.
They ruined the timeline already. So we'll see. But I'm really enjoying it. The Warriors gameplay does get a little old at points. Also, I mean, part of the cool thing about Warriors games is you have so many characters to play as. But I'm basic and just want to play as Link, so I don't really use any of the other characters.
Oh,
I play as Zelda and Impa and sometimes Mipha and mostly Link, so.
All right.
But I'm enjoying it and it's great and it's amazing. What else you got?
Well, I just bawled my eyes out at a Hilda episode about an hour ago.
Oh, tell me about it, please.
Oh my god. All right.
Without spoilers.
So, Hilda Season 2 came out, and I think on one of our first episodes ever, I talked about watching Hilda and how it was a TV show for kids, but it was so wonderful because it takes like these big events in like a child's, growing up, like moving, finding friends, learning to ride a bike, and it makes it, seem mystical and magical in Hilda's absolutely amazing fantasy world. And so that's like the core Hilda idea in my mind.
Yeah.
And then season 2 starts and they're doing none of that. And I was very disappointed. And there's like a villain now. And like
what?
Instead of it being like an anthology, it has like a through line for a couple episodes and then they just drop it. And so there's like this park ranger safety patrol guy who's like doesn't understand anything about nature or what's going on, and he's like, ring all the bells, scare all the trolls, and he's like essentially just doing everything wrong, and Hilda's just like, no, stop, like you don't get it, like stop this. And then there's a lot of like spooky episodes, like
really
very scary. Like there's a kraken in one that's come to destroy ships, and like there's an entire like ghost ship of pirates in another, and like it's like honestly really terrifying. And there was a huge like void creature in another. That was a really good episode about witches though. It was very good, but there was a void monster.
Is this even Hilda anymore?
So you're sitting there and you're like, is this even Hilda? I don't even know. And like and so I started watching it back up because I knew I needed to talk about something for what you're watching, and I saw that I'd only watched the first 5 episodes, and I was like, oh well, that's not really anything, but you had 5 episodes, and not a single one of them had like that sort of like moral, steadfast Hilda idea. I was like, they've kind of just lost their way. I don't know what's going on. And then I watched the next 4 episodes, and it was just killer Hilda episodes. So good. Just amazing, great morals, tying things together, callbacks, the troops all there to save the day. It was also really, really good. Time travel episode, fantastic.
Great.
Then the last one I watched pretty much right before we're recording this was about Twig, her deer fox.
Yeah.
And it was very emotional and had me absolutely bawling as I'm trying to cook dinner and eat my food like a normal person on a normal Tuesday, not crying my eyes out at a children's TV show.
Oh dear.
So yeah, it's back. It's great. Some of the episodes are a little weird, but there's some that are just absolutely phenomenal. And if you liked the first season, you should watch the second season. And if you have a kid, you should make them watch it because it's phenomenal, and it's just such a like really has heart, and it really has a good message.
Absolutely. Oh my goodness. I can't wait to watch the second season now. It's so, like, that show is just so, yeah, like you said, it just has so much heart and, like, character.
Mm-hmm.
This whole world and and the characters are just, like, so unique and charming and just soul filling, when you watch the show, I guess. So that's good to hear. I'm glad that it wasn't, didn't completely lose its way the whole season and ended strongly. So
Yeah, well, I'm not done. I technically got a couple more episodes, but it's looking good.
looking good. Good. Let's see. Do I talk about Attack on Titan or Full Metal?
What are you gonna do, Kelly? You can't spoil anything for me. Ha 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 ha.
Okay, without spoilers, let me just talk about Attack on Titan. Okay. Just like what you're saying about Hilda Season 2, you're like, is this Attack on Titan? This season is different in so many ways. I don't even know where to start with this show. Just like you, Nathan, wanting to be able to predict everything, just give that up right now.
Get up already. Well, did any of my predictions come true? Or you can't tell me, can you?
I can't tell you because spoilers. But let me just say, I mean, man, every single episode, I have to re-watch them. Not because they're confusing or, they aren't telling the story well or anything like that. Just because it's so rich. Like, there's so much to digest. And there's so much happening. And I just have to be, I just don't know what to think anymore. And granted, I've never been super fond of the characters like I am with other shows that I'm just like, I love them and adore them, want the best for them. No, these characters, I'm just like, I mean, it trains you that, not everyone's going to survive anyway. So it's just
everyone's expendable.
Yeah, don't get too attached to anyone. But I'm just sitting here. It's just I can't. Everything we've talked about in the Attack on Titan episode,
oh, sweet summer child. We thought we were so smart and had things figured out. But you knew nothing of the cold winter that is season 4.
The cold winter. Part of what's crazy is just that there's a time jump. Mm-hmm. There's a time jump, and now, a lot of things have changed, not just, in the world or society or whatever, but just, individual characters. And I'm like, who are you? Yeah, and I will also say, Mappa, the studio that's doing this now, because Studio Wit is no longer producing this. As of right now, I'm not a huge fan of their animation. They use a lot of CGI. I don't blame them because they kind of have to because there's so much going on. It's just, how could you hand draw everything that's happening? And sometimes the CGI looks great. Some of the times it really doesn't, though. I'm just grateful that it's animated in any form, honestly, so I'm not going to be too picky. But along with that, this studio is not shying away from the gore. I know we've said it's gory. Yes, it's gory. But you had also mentioned during our Attack on Titan episode, the first 3 seasons are very, what did you say? Suggestive violence?
Yeah, it's very suggestive. They will never show the violence happening, but they'll show either the outcomes or the reactions to it.
And this season
doesn't do that. All
doesn't
right.
do that. And it's graphic. I'm almost to the point of wanting to read the manga. What holds me back, though, is that I know the manga is even more graphic than the anime. So I'm not, but I also just I want to be able to read this, you know? Like, it's like, that's what it is.
Sure.
It's like, I almost want to be able to read it and digest it that way so that I can just put it down for a sec if I need to. Whereas this is just like, boom, 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 boom in your face.
Oof.
It's so good though, guys. I don't know what I'm saying. I just like, it's so good. It's so good. It's like, this isn't the best anime in the world, but it sure dang is pretty close. Like, it's just like, I've been watching, I don't even know, my brain is all over the place, but I've also been watching Full Metal Alchemist Brotherhood in preparation for next week's episode. And watching that versus watching Attack on Titan, it's like Full Metal Alchemist Brotherhood has like that same kind of just like, it also has a very good action drama plot. You know, I'd say they're in similar veins.
Mm-hmm.
But Attack on Titan is like on steroids times a million.
Cranked up to 11 style.
Cranked up to 11 with none of the characters that I want to root for.
Yeah, it's just a bunch of dingbat heroes racing down the highway at 130 miles an hour.
Yep. I cannot wait for you to catch up and just be in this place with me, because it's a ride.
You are like kind of losing your mind right now, and I don't know if I'm prepared for that. Like, my emotional state is crying heavily at the thought of an animated dog.
Yeah, maybe you're not ready for this yet.
I think I've been trying to reiterate this to you every time you tell me something about Attack on Titan, that I'm probably not prepared for this.
You know, I don't think you are.
And I'm the kind of guy that was like, yeah, you know, The Punisher, that was a fine show. It wasn't too gory or bloody. And now, here, no, let's not go put me through any of that, please.
Oh, no.
I'll get to it, Kelly. I'll have to watch it, and we'll have to talk about it in depth.
Okay, good. If anything, watch the first 4 episodes. Like, yes, there are some intense things, but once you hit episode 5, it might be too much for you, but
Oh, dear.
yeah, it's definitely, I'm so excited to see where Isayama is going with this. And the manga final chapter, I think, comes out in a couple months. Mm-hmm. So the internet is going to explode. And I'm, like I said in the Attack on Titan episode, I'm kind of nervous about what his final like statement is about this world and about violence, about war. Like, where are we going to end at? Because like it's a masterfully crafted story, and I don't know how I'm going to feel.
Yeah.
when it ends.
What is that final bullet point? What is it going to be?
So that's what I've been watching.
I suggest maybe you need a break. I got this really, really great show called Hilda you could watch.
Yes, Hilda. And here's my other recommendation for people who need something a little more chill. Okay, this is the best, most perfect, calming, happy anime I've ever watched. It's called Laid Back Camping. That's literally the name. It's just a whole bunch of girls in an outdoor club who go camping. That's it.
That's it. There's no like.
They just go camping.
There's no like sudden army that explodes. There's no giant monsters. There's no magic and mayhem and death and no.
No, they cook ramen over. Oh wait, sometimes things get really crazy. They go to the hot springs.
And something bad happened.
And maybe, just maybe, one girl goes solo camping. What?
And they get lost, get in
And
trouble.
they sleep in a tent. I can't tell you though how and just like soothing and comforting it is.
All right.
It's just these adorable kids going camping.
Anime is a broad and wide genre of media.
Yes.
That allows many different stories to be told.
And we like all of them.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
So they're your two extremes.
Pick one. Enjoy the ride.
Oh man. I always have to pull up the outro stuff or I will forget. Can you do the outro stuff by memory? Can you do it for me?
Thank you to all of our patrons for supporting us on Patreon. If you'd like to follow us more, we're at Fanimated Podcast on Instagram, Fanimated on Facebook, and on YouTube. The music that you're listening to is brought to you by Purple Planet Music, and the art is by me, Kelly Anderson. What else do we say?
Thank you so much for listening, and we'll talk at you next week. In the meantime,
stay tuned and stay animated. Purple Planet Music. Purple Planet Music. How do you always
do you
want to
do it? Wait, can you? Purple Planet Music?
I can't say Purple Planet Music.
That was great. I know I'm gonna keep it. That's it. We're done.